Welcome back to Sloth Box. I'm Lyndon Dixon, joined today by Austin Ammo Williams. Austin, how are you, mate?
I'm doing great, man. I'm ready to fight. I'm just ready to fight, ready to go.
Back in England, I know how much you like fighting in England because of the fans, the atmosphere. How does it feel?
I feel great, man. I remember my first time fighting in the O2. It was 2019. It was on the Regis Pro Grade Josh Taylor card. And I was so early on the card, there wasn't much people in the arena. But now, I'm going to be very high on the Anthony Joshua card, so I'm going to experience the O2. I'm excited, man. I'm just so calm right now because I'm ready to explode. You know, I just trained so hard for this fight. I didn't even know I had a fight coming up. It's something told me to go harder than I ever went before. So for it to be playing out like this is just amazing. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned it just then, an Anthony Joshua card at a packed O2,
yes.
Late in the card. That's a big occasion. How are you preparing for that?
Oh, man, I've been preparing for it my whole career. I mean, the first time I fought on the Anthony Joshua card in Madison Square Garden, I fought 2 fights before him on a swing bout. It was me, then Katie Taylor, then him. And it was almost like I've been destined for this. I've been preparing for this a long time ago. That was my second fight. So the caliber was almost of the same. And it was one of my greatest experiences as far as gaining United Kingdom fans. Because even though I wasn't in the UK, there was so many people who came out to Madison Square Garden for that fight with him against Ruiz. So I believe it's fate playing out, and I'm being rewarded for continuously working on it.
Before we get into your fight, I want to mention one of your favourite people, Felix Cash. He's pulled out of Saturday night's fight with illness. What do you make of all that stuff?
He's a fighter that doesn't truly want to fight anymore. It's simple as that. It's not really much to go deep about. I seen it in his last fight. I went to do commentary on his last fight. I seen the difference in him. Fighters go through things that I believe they can't recover from. And I think we're experiencing that. I think he's somebody who may have to fight for financial reasons or probably have an identity crisis, don't know what to really, and this is not me joking or anything, this is me being real. Probably don't know what to do next, but I can tell when a fighter really wants to do it. I don't think he wants to do it anymore. So it's not the same for me to pursue him. Even like just feeling the way I feel about him in reality, I don't even want to pursue him no more because I feel like it's almost a bullying thing at this point. So I hope him the best with his illness, whatever that may be. But I have to fully focus on River Wilson Bent because he's not an easy opponent. He's somebody that comes to fight, and he's in his hometown. So I have to completely shift my focus off of Felix Cash, wish him the best, and I know probably in the future it won't be a fight for us to make because he's wasted too much time and too many resources. And there's bigger fights for me to have. I mean, I'm high ranked in the world. I have 2 belts, so we're in a point of that we don't have to wait on guys, so I just wish him the best now, and I hope he figures out, what he wants to do next in life.
Yeah, well that brings me on to my next point. Just before we get into your fight on Saturday, I feel like you just said, you're at the point of moving on from Felix Cash now, so what is next, or maybe who is next for you? Like, what are you setting your sights on now?
You know what, that's interesting for me. I'm really excited because the landscape is so open for me. I know the next fight, especially after Saturday night, we're going to show, like I said in the press conference, I've gained a maturity in the ring that I've been happy. It's like things have opened up. I can see almost in third person in the ring now. I'm excited to show that before it's time to really show it in like a major fight, like against Felix Cash. So I think what's going to set the tone of where we go next will be this opportunity, this fight with River Wilson Bent. I seen it in his eyes. He's game. He's ready to go. And that's where I perform the best because I have a person that's going to come. He's going to come to win. And when I beat him, it's going to be somebody that was competitive. It's not going to be somebody who came to lay down where people throw their hands up and say, oh, he just fought a bump. I'm fighting somebody who wants to fight, wants to win, and I have that opportunity to break someone and show, what I'm capable of, and that will set the tone of what's coming next.
Well, let's talk about River Wilson Bent. For me, I feel like even on social media, he's being a bit underestimated. I think he's a good fighter. I mean, you're a great fighter. but he's pretty good as well. But how are you? Are you underestimating? No, not are you underestimating him, but how are you seeing him going into that fight on Saturday? Because, like you said, he's not going to lay down.
I'm seeing him as a world champion. I train for every fighter the same. There's no deviation in the way that I train and the way I view an opponent. I don't focus on the guy's weak points. I focus on their strong suits. Not only is River giving me the opportunity to fight somebody who's not going to lay down, he's the tallest opponent I fought. He's the most rangy opponent I fought. And I have those experiences high level in the amateurs, but I don't have that experience in the pros yet. So not only is he providing me a great fight on a short notice, he's giving me a new look. He's giving me something that Matchroom can look at and say, oh, this is how Ammo deals with height. This is how Ammo deals with somebody who has the advantage of reach and range. So it's a great experience for me. And in no way, shape, or form am I taking him light. He is the most important fight of my life. I've focused on him. I've studied his body. I've studied everything about him. I pretty much know everything about him. So it's not going to be that story that, you know, Mike Tyson type of story when, you know, he didn't take a guy serious and lost no matter how good he knows. I've learned that lesson from others. So yeah, River Wilson Ben is somebody that he can be proud to go into this fight because he's fighting somebody who's taking him very serious.
Well, it sounds like you're prepared, but let's talk about the main event for a second. Anthony Joshua's make or break, but he's fighting your fellow countryman, Jermaine Franklin. And from what I've seen on social media and Fight Week, he looks hungry. But who are you backing? Because do you go with your fellow countryman or the former world champion?
I'm going for Anthony Joshua all the way. Anthony Joshua is somebody that I admire. I've seen the world try to rip him apart, man, because he's taken a few losses to top fighters in the world at the heavyweight division. I've seen he's had the opportunity to quit. He has the opportunity to let that really penetrate him and change him as a man, and he's still out here fighting in front of people, giving out great shows. That's awesome. That is like beyond boxing. You know, he's risking his life and to give people a show, and it actually breaks my heart to see how he gets treated, how many people try to write him off. But that's a direct reflection of how people are feeling on the inside. That truly is, because I feel like we as human beings need to be better at giving people their flowers while they're here. And also, I wouldn't have had a major blow up in my profile if it wasn't for that fight in my second fight. And he could have, at that level that he's at, he has a say-so on who's on his cards and things like that. So for me to have that opportunity that really expanded my career early, he's somebody that I admire. So I'm excited to see him, you know, regain everything that people want him to lose. I want him to get his status back. I do want to see this new dawn. He's still a young man. He has a long career ahead of him, and I'm ready to see him prevail.
Well, as a fan and as an admirer, who do you want to see him in next, providing he beats Jermaine Franklin? Is it Fury? Is it Wilder? Is it Joe Joyce? Who would you pick for him?
For him, I think it all depends on this night. I think it all depends on Saturday night. Just like I was saying against with my personal fight. You get to see where a man is, you get to see where their mind state is, you get to see where their heart is. And if we see that lion roaring again, I think we go for the bigger fights. I think we go for the, maybe even the Usyk, like seriously. Because at a certain point, it's not that many, the landscape, when you get to the top of the mountain, it's kind of the same guys there. So, I mean, that caliber fight, Deontay Wilder, Gypsy King, those types of guys I'm ready to see him in with. I think this fight can recover his confidence where he can go into a fight like that and possibly win.
Well, the last question from me. I feel like you can have a big year ahead of you this year, but where do you see yourself come the end of it? What have you done? What have you achieved? What's the end of the year looking like for you?
I believe after this performance, what I do, I believe that I will get a title shot. I will be a world champion by the end of this year. And the tables will turn where people are now saying, look how fast he's done it. He started boxing at 19, he's a world champion at 27 in the middleweight division, which is an extremely stacked division. Even though it isn't heavyweight, there's so many middleweight fighters, there's so many great middleweight champions. And I just feel like everything's opened up for me to not only you know, set myself up as a world champion, but to be in the talks of going for multiple titles in the year to come. And really fulfilling my goal of being undisputed at 160 before I move up. So I feel like even situations like this where I wasn't scheduled to fight and Felix Cash was, and on fight night Ammo's going to be fighting, I think stuff like that is showing Matchroom they have somebody who's truly dedicated to the sport 100%, and it's easier to present those opportunities, easier to invest into a fighter like that when they know that it's just as important to the fighter as it is to them.
Yeah.
So I see big things for myself. I see those things for myself. I actually know for sure it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, Pro, that's the perfect way to end it. I've been Lyndon Dixon, he's been Ammo Williams. And